Krusemark, we were talking during the break. It is a busy time for you guys because not only is there a coaching search over there in Stillwater, but also your starting quarterback, John Mateer, took national headlines, and you have the NBA champions dropping a banner next week. How are you, man?
It's a busy time of year, and I am still standing right now, but maybe by December I will not be. I'll be laying on the floor. We'll see. We'll see how this how I can handle it all.
You have been wide open, that is for sure. We will start with the Oklahoma Sooners. Obviously, last week the Red River rivalry, got a chance to talk to both you and Brian, and got amazing insight about the rivalry. First time on this show, we're able to preview it, and we got a chance to actually watch the game play out. Seeing John Mateer 17 days after surgery, and now going into that football game and playing, not getting hurt, not looking his best, but staying healthy. What was your take overall about the way Big Number 10 played?
I think it's kind of easy to overreact when you see like the three interceptions and stuff like that. You're like, wow, that must have really been bothering him. But I really think he looked kind of fine overall. I mean, the fact that his hand held up, he said it's more of a mental thing, that was what his struggles. He didn't feel any sort of limitations physically or anything like that. He said he felt fine with his thumb and everything, and it didn't really seem like the thumb was bothering him too much when he was throwing. It did just seem like bad decisions, like that interception going into the half, where he just chunks it up there into coverage, and you're like, what are you doing, man? Like,
Yeah.
that's, you have an opportunity to at least get a field goal here if you just throw it out of bounds and, go out there and take the points and stuff like that. And that really did seem to be kind of the momentum killer, was that because you're up 6-3 going into halftime, and then
Right.
Texas just completely controlled the second half. But yeah, it was just, poor decisions. That one where he throws it to Kanik, and it's just kind of, and then you have the other one, he throws it behind Satania, bounces off his hands, and he had another couple throws that could have been interceptions as well. He also had that one play where it looks like it's a design run, but then all of a sudden he tries to throw it to Corey Blaylock out the flat, and it's incomplete, and you're just like, man, what are you doing?
Right.
And I think that just really was like where you kind of saw the fact that he hadn't played in a while. And it's weird because you would think he'd be more mentally sharp than physically sharp based off of what you're going through.
Right.
But it was almost the opposite, where he just wasn't mentally there, and he made too many mistakes that cost them, because the OU offense is better than it was last year, but it's still not amazing. It's not the old, as Brent Venables likes to call it, the old Big 12 days where Oklahoma was going out and dominating everybody. But it's not that, where they're putting up 40 plus points a game every week. They have to play smart football. They got to protect the ball, and they're, I want to say, at least -7 in turnover margin now this year. And it's just, you can't win games in the SEC like that.
Yeah.
And even against a Texas team that had been struggling, you just can't make mistakes like that. And, it goes back to where I mean, hindsight is 2020, but I didn't understand the decision to play Mateer in this game. And I think you saw exactly why it didn't really make sense to play him.
Yeah.
And you heard from Sark after the game, where he's like, I'm glad we played Mateer, because we didn't have to listen to the what ifs of like, well, what if Mateer had played or anything like that.
Yep.
And if you're OU, you have that free excuse if you lose the game with Hawkins at quarterback. Well, okay, we lost the game with our backup quarterback.
Right.
Now you've opened yourself up to so many more questions.
Yeah, Holden, I mean, when you look at good offenses, they complement each other well. I know Missouri's a good case where they have a great run offense, and then Bo Perbula, outside of last game, played pretty well. When you look at this Oklahoma run game, I mean, when I watched this game, I was shocked at the 1.6 yards per carry. I mean, first of all, what is going on? And number two, where is Jaden Ott again?
Well, it shouldn't really be shocking to anyone who's watched OU football this year, because they can't run the football. It's just been a consistent problem where they just can't. Either it's blocking or the running backs aren't finding space. Whatever the reason is, Ben Arbuckle this week kind of attributed to the fact that maybe the guys aren't straighting enough, that they're not, trying to finish out the play and looking for, extra things they can do to help get some more yards and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
It also isn't helping out that they're kind of going through some injuries on the O-line. Derek Simmons went out early in that Texas game, and it didn't really it seemed like that right side kind of ended up being a little bit of a problem for them on the edge. And so, so just a few factors. I don't think that the wide receivers that they start are necessarily the best run blockers. Deion Burks is kind of a smaller guy. Satania is a smaller guy. So that could be part of the issue too, is you're not getting, and their best their tight end, Jaron Kanek, who switched from linebacker to tight end, he has been probably one of their better receivers, if not the best receiver.
Mm-hmm.
But he is an undersized tight end, and he has struggled to pick up the run blocking and stuff like that. And I just don't think outside of the O-line you're getting much help in the run game from your wide receivers, your tight ends. And there was a play early in the game too where they tried to kind of do a little reverse, and Jaden Knott's out there in space to try and block, and it looked like he gave zero effort to it. He just kind of let the guy go and stuff. And that's another reason why we're not seeing Jaden Knott out on the field, is because it doesn't seem like he's doing the things. He doesn't seem mentally sharp. That the fact that they're sitting here and saying it's just that Torrey Blaylock is playing better than him. And when you're averaging, whatever it was, 1.6, 1.9 yards per carry, that's, kind of damning on Jaden Knott this season. The fact that he can't get the field when they're not running the ball well.
Yeah, absolutely. And it almost feels like it's time to punt there on Ott. I'm not saying that it is, and he could come back and be a hero in the second half of the season, but as of right now, it just feels like every time we talk about him, it's like, well, you're just like almost like waiting for a car to start. It's just hasn't been able to do so. I had to pull up the schedule from last year, because I know there was a losing streak for a little bit, but last year, after the first loss of the season, they got a win at Auburn, but then lost 3 straight and 4 of the next 5. I know it's a completely different team, new OC, new quarterback, but is there any, I guess, concern that this could lead to more, given what you just said about the running game deficiencies, given what you just said about Mateer struggling from some of the mental things, and who knows, physically? This is a really interesting game against South Carolina. How do you feel that this game will go in context of the larger picture, given what happened last year?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely major concern just because of the fact of you look at that schedule, and there's no, I mean, I guess maybe you could say South Carolina is their easiest game left, but look at that graphic. I mean, that is 5 top 16 teams.
Yeah.
2 of those is at Tennessee, at Alabama. I mean, it'll be a miracle if they only lose 2 of those games, you would sit there and say. Just because of the issues that they're having offensively. The defense is good enough, although, you kind of saw them, maybe, I think Venables attributed to the fact that they were trying too hard to make big plays happen in the second half, that they just didn't make the easy play, the sure play, and that's kind of where you saw some of those issues. I mean, Texas only scored 1 offensive touchdown, so it's not like they exactly were lighting it up too much. So the defense is fine. Can the offense complement them? I think Mateer getting this game kind of out of the way, I think he'll be fine against South Carolina. I'm not expecting them to just light it up offensively, but just I think he'll be better mentally. He'll be sharper, and the thumb, theoretically should only kind of keep getting better the further away he gets from the surgery date and everything. So I think that this will be could be a good bounce back game. If you lose this though, then that's really, probably feels like the real, the wheels are coming off the wagon here, and because where are you going to find a bunch of wins after the South Carolina game? I think you can beat Ole Miss at home. You can beat Missouri at home.
Right.
You maybe can beat LSU at home. The 2 road games kind of feel like losses. I mean, you could maybe beat Tennessee. I know Arkansas gave them all that they could handle this past week with Bobby Petrino coaching that team. So they can win these games, but you just don't feel as confident as you did after the Michigan game, after the Auburn game, and stuff like that. This Texas game just really kind of derailed the perception of what this team can be and, maybe who they are. the rest of the season.
Yeah, it is a really interesting spot here, not only for the offense, but for the team as a whole. We got a chance to hear from head coach Brent Venables on helping his signal caller.
But you're always looking for ways to help guys. So I'm not going to get into what that exactly means, but and again, John, he told you himself he feels like he needed to make a few better decisions and be a little more patient, let the game come to him, and he's anxious and amped up, and like everybody was, and probably pressed a little bit, but you play quarterback at a high level when everybody around you is at a high level as well. We need to get better. We need to improve. Everybody around them need to be a little more efficient with what they're doing, fundamentally, physically, technically, all of those things.
Holden, I want to pose an interesting question because all the hype leading into this game was around John Mateer and his Heisman candidacy. Now that it seems like those hopes have kind of dwindled, do you think that's going to help him in the long run?
I don't know that Mateer necessarily cared too much about the Heisman, so I don't know that necessarily plays in. But I do think maybe the pressure can be lessened now that he knows that it's just truly winning games and everything. But I mean, I feel like a broken record in just the fact that they have to get that running game figured out, because maybe that's part of his issue, is just the fact that he knows they can't run the ball, and so he's maybe feeling the weight on his shoulders a little bit more. I'd probably go with that more so than just the Heisman aspect. But yeah, and maybe that was part of his mental mistakes too. He just felt like he had to make a play, and if he didn't, then the offense wasn't going to score any points. And that's really kind of been the case this season. There haven't been too many guys scoring touchdowns outside of John Mateer this season, so it's a lot on his shoulders. Just the fact that he came over with Ben Arbuckle, and he knows this offense better than anybody else on the team. So and when you are the quarterback at OU, the expectations are high. People expect a lot out of you, and so I think he's got to be able to they have got to be able to figure out the run game just to take some of that pressure off of him, because he seems like a guy that can handle the pressure, but I don't know that you want him to be able to handle all of that pressure.
He is the run game.
Yeah.
He literally is the run game. When you look at the stats, the rushing stats this whole season, John Mateer sits at the top, and I mean, he's a major factor in it. And I mean, I think you bring up a great point, is if Blaylock can, kind of carry some of his own weight there in that regard, it can take a little bit of the weight off of Mateer's shoulders.
And Blaylock has definitely looked the best of all the running backs so far this year. And it almost kind of seemed like even Xavier Robinson has passed up Jaden Ott on the depth chart. It seemed like he got more burn against Texas than Jaden Ott did, which is interesting, because there was a point a couple weeks ago where I was wondering if they were maybe going to redshirt Xavier Robinson because he hadn't been playing very much. So the running back room, the rotation is just kind of all out of whack, outside of the fact that it seems like Torrey Blaylock is the guy at running back. And if they can just get somebody else to kind of, contribute in some way. But even so, Torrey Blaylock has got to be able to move the ball better than what they have been.
Right.
I thought one thing that was interesting too from this Texas game is, that Mateer has been kind of their best at running the football. He did not run the ball very well against Texas. And I don't know if maybe there was a little bit of hesitancy just with the thumb, trying to keep it out of harm's way, but it just almost seemed like he was a little bit slower out there, that he wasn't kind of making, quick cuts or decisions and things like that. It didn't seem like they could get him going in that quarterback run game very, very much. And I mean, I wouldn't want him to be running the ball that much, just because that opens you up to getting hit on that thumb even more. So it's a very interesting position that OU's found themselves in. I want to think that they'll get it figured out, but really nothing that they've shown us this year leads you to have any confidence that they will get the run game figured out at any point.
Absolutely. In this league, you can't take anything for granted, even a road game at South Carolina. On the other sideline will be Lenora Sellers. So flip to the Oklahoma defense and just the challenge that they'll have to bring this week, because it looks like South Carolina has never been great offensively, but special teams and defense has been solid. But it looks like they're able to get something going in the running game there at South Carolina. How do you feel the Oklahoma defense, as you said earlier, they've been playing great so far this season, attacks Lenore Sellers and Mike Shula and Shane Beamer and the Gamecock offense?
And I don't think the OU defense liked the way that they finished that game. I think, granted, you can only do so much as a defense if the offense isn't going to score points, but they didn't like the fact that they kind of let Arch find a little bit of rhythm. They had some third and longs they needed to get off the field, and they just couldn't get off the field. And that was kind of the weird thing, because the OU defense has been so good at getting off the field, tackles for loss, not giving up too much. They had quite a few tackles for loss. They didn't really get any sacks, though, in this game. I think R. Mason Thomas had the only sack of the game for OU. So I would expect they're able to get some more pressure against South Carolina, but we'll see exactly how that pans out. But I think the defense has to be a little bit more motivated, just based off of how that second half went against Texas, and just kind of missing those easy plays that they've made all season long. But I would say that right now Lenora Sellers is probably playing better quarterback than Arch Manning, so it doesn't exactly get any easier. But one of the things that they've been good at is stopping the run, especially on early downs. So if they're able to kind of hold the ground game in check, that really opens up the pass rush, and being able to be disruptive and get to Sellers and try to force some bad throws and bad decisions and stuff like that.